All right. Good morning. Hey, we got to get. Hey, you guys, get on over here. So
Uh-oh.
we're gonna. Yeah, no, they're overeating, so that's priority. Hey, good morning, everybody. Got a special guest on this morning. We'll get into that here in a second. We're going to introduce some folks. You're going to see them walking in from behind us, and we're having a 5-day training. And we just wanted to take and start out the year right. We've got we always have special guests when we have a 5-day training, but we've got somebody from within the industry here, and so we're going to have Tim introduce himself here shortly. In the meantime, what I haven't seen that shirt.
No,
That's a new shirt. Which one is that one?
that's an Audi on this shirt. So
I like that.
A fast one.
Yeah, you weren't in frame when I first saw it. Now I can see it. That's a badass car. I got it now. Yeah, I love the color, the color selection on those cars, and they always did such a great job, of logoing those things up.
Yeah, they got two liveries that they like to use. There's this one, which is what, red, gray, black, and white. But then they've got another one that's got a bunch of yellow in it.
Yeah, I like the yellow.
So
what we're going to do is we're going to take in. So busy week. You and I mean, how many times did we talk yesterday?
Yesterday was busy.
There's
a lot going on yesterday. I've still got people I got to get back to.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to have we're going to take and introduce our guests, but then we're going to actually have all of our students that are here this week. We're going to have them come on up, introduce themselves too. So they'll just come over my face. You guys will smile into the camera and say your name and where you're from. That's about it. So, but first, Chris, I think you're going to read the introduction to Tim real quick. And,
I prepared a few notes on Tim here based on some information he sent me. But Tim, help me pronounce your last name.
Stehle.
So Stehle.
Yep.
Stehle. Okay, I'll screw it up. But anyway, you guys can read it right in front of the screen. But so guys, this is Tim. He's from Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, and he and his wife Lori live there. They have a an 11-year-old rescue pit bull mix.
Yep, that's our son.
Very cool. I have 2 100-pound lab puppies. They're about almost 4 years old, and they just shredded the bedroom a little while ago. But anyway, so Tim went to Penn State University. He's got a bachelor's degree in business management and marketing. And after graduating, he started an 18-year career with ShopVac. And you guys remember ShopVac. They're not around anymore, but they're definitely a household name still.
Well, the good news is they've made a comeback, Chris.
Have they?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep. Team's working hard and doing good things. So
okay, I hadn't heard that.
We just heard it. We heard they went away, and it was like, whoa.
Yeah,
it was like overnight.
Went away overnight, but the good news is it's made a comeback, and it's under new ownership. And a lot of the same faces that I got to work with before, and good people doing good things. So
cool.
Shout out to those guys.
Well, cool. Well, we'll have to look out for hopefully some cool new products from them too. Anyway, so after his career at ShopVac ended, Tim became the director of sales at Lake Country.
Chris, I'll interrupt you if I may. So I was director of sales at ShopVac. That was my last role. When we finally closed down, I did jump over to Lake Country, where I'm the Eastern Region sales manager.
That's right. I messed that up, but you're
no worries, man.
But anyway, so now he's at Lake Country, and we wanted you guys to be able to get to know him and find out a little bit about what he's doing over there, because he's going to be a big part of what Lake Country is working on going forward.
So it's kind of cool because Lake Country is kind of two camps now. You got LC Tools in Lake Country.
Yep, LC Power Tools, and then we have the Pad line, which is still Lake Country.
Right, and so it's the same company.
Yep,
but they just now, with having investment in tools, it's kind of cool. So Scott, I'll give you a little history. You might not know Scott.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Scott and I competed against each other at air shows for. We would go in and detail the airplanes out when we were pretty young. So I go back. My first venture with Scott at Oshkosh Air Venture is 30 plus years ago. And Scott and I never knew that we were in the industry together until probably about 2001. We figured it out because we're there. He was representing Lake Country, and I was there representing. I did a joint effort with Shell Oil and Shell Aviation, and we put 2 and 2 together. And so we've had this competitive working relationship, a very friendly, mutual. I mean, I got a lot of respect for Scott. Scott's a brilliant guy at Lake Country.
He's very intelligent, such a good person. Anybody that meets him for the first time, you can't help but love the guy.
Oh yeah, he's great. He's very almost too modest,
He's modest.
He is. He's very modest and he's a great guy. But we've been a huge champion of Lake Country. Now I'll go back too. Matter of fact, they're gonna dig one up, but we used to call them the fingered pads, and a lot of people have never seen them, but the official name was called a tuft pad.
Okay.
And they were little tiny. You know how the new wash mitts are foam and they kind of got fingers coming out? Well, these were pads made like that. But what we used them on is they were great for aircraft because they didn't burn the rivet heads off. And so we go back. We've got we are one of the original detailers to use the CCS pads, and now they've come kind of back into fashion.
Absolutely.
So it's really cool to be able to see the history, and actually had watched that and took part as a customer, and now to have you here. So with that, before we go any further, we're going to start right here and we'll work around. You guys will just split us. Come on in and just come on over and say your name, where you're from, name of your company, and we'll go from there.
I'm Alan Morgan from Malby, Michigan, and from Al's Automotive Excellence.
There you go. Run in. Next.
Hello, everyone. Tony Reynolds, Scottsdale, Arizona, Day One Mobile Detailing.
That's it. Right on. Right on.
Alex Wang from Honolulu, Hawaii. My company name is Climax Auto Detailing.
And don't be hating on him because he lives in Hawaii and he has great weather. Don't be hating on him. Okay. And then our intern. That's
right.
most important.
Morning, everyone. Brent from Revive Auto Detailing up in New Hampshire. Run that company with my son, Tucker.
So we got you guys are from Hawaii, way out here, on the west, all the way up to, the northeast, and kind of everything in between. So, and then Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into this.
We should mention real quick, unless I wasn't paying attention, but Tim's training too, so he can better understand the industry and what the detailers in our industry go through on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely. So it's going to be Tony's Air Force just getting out, so he's got an exciting time in front of him. Tim's coming back into it from a different perspective, not coming back into it, but just from a different angle. And so it's been a nice input from his, getting his side of it. So with that, let's jump into it. So you've been around the industry, for a good while. We've probably, when did we first meet? Been a bit.
It's been a while already. Probably 15 years ago.
Yeah. So is coming out from a manufacturer and being around a lot of industries, and you're around the big box stores,
correct,
so you really did a lot in that. But you also went to all the different trade shows,
yep.
Not just automotive related, but construction,
yep.
Do it yourself, everything else. What did you see in the early days? And you can be blunt, okay? Because if you're not, I will be. What did you see in the early days? How has detailing changed, entrepreneurship wise? What did you notice back in the day, and what are you noticing today?
Yeah, I would say there's an evolution, not just in the products that you use, because the technology's gone a long way. The products have improved a lot. The type of tools that you have that you can put in your business have improved greatly. You can put CRM systems in that become the backbone of your operation. But there's so much training available today too. Great, valuable training that teaches you not just how to be a great detailer. So many people already are a great detailer, but how to be a good business owner.
Yeah. We always tell. So let's go back and I'll point you. Have you seen the entrepreneurship skills in the detailers change? had like, for instance, we went to Uber Detailing, Corona, California, a year ago. We started this program. We'd go out, we'd have evening discussions. We bring them in for open houses. We did Kyle Clark did an RV class down there. We had dinner with detailers. And then we just had a Christmas dinner with detailers. And just in the 1 year that we started doing that, is we saw a difference in their attitudes. We saw the difference, and you could tell just by the way they're dressed, they were making a little more money. They were much more assured of themselves, and their capabilities. And I always tell people, and this is going to piss people off, but the easy part of detailing is the physical skills.
Sure.
It's tying all those physical skills into entrepreneurship that's difficult. Have you seen it transition over your years?
I agree with you. I believe so.
Good. What changes have you witnessed over the years? I mean, you've talked about gear and products. What else? What are you recognizing as you came through all these different events?
Yep.
What have you seen?
I mean, again, not just the tools and products that you use, but how you run your business. Social media has become such a big part of how you advertise and promote yourself. Keeping yourself professional in those realms as well. I think that's some of the biggest shift, right? Everybody's got a platform now that's great. Promote your business, tell everybody why you're relevant in your market. And I think it was harder probably years ago when you didn't have that.
Yeah. And with that comes some challenges within itself. And this is an important lesson for all of us to kind of keep in mind. It happens several times a year, but I was on over Christmas and New Year's, and I saw this ad pop up for a detailer on social media, and he's all the way across the country. And so I reached out to him and I said, hey man, introduce myself. And sometimes when I do these, it's a warm reception, and other times it's not. And I said, but I'm seeing your ad in California, and you're in New Hampshire. You're just wasting money. So when I told the kid that, I said, you can go through it and pinpoint where you want to advertise to. And this individual was really warm to it. He was like, oh my God, I had no idea. So I said, I went over real quick. It was like 10 o'clock at night, and I found a couple videos, just on YouTube. So I sent him over a couple links, just trying to help him out. And he came back and he's like, yeah, I had no idea that, I was being seen that widespread. Yeah, it makes total sense. Now, the opposite mindset is months before that, I'd done the same thing, kind of saw a guy say, hey man, I'm seeing your ads. Yeah. Hey, I'm trying to build up my reputation in the industry with, and become famous. And I was like, well, how's business? And he goes, it's really slow. And I'm like, okay, so you're going to spend money to advertise to get people that aren't going to pay you to recognize you, but the people that are going to pay you, you're not advertising to, and you're basically broke. And I was like, I just left that one alone. I just let it disappear off the radar.
You can't win them all.
No, and so I think that's kind of the old way of thinking. I think I see it creep back in. We always do. And it's not just our industry. There's a lot of entry-level industries that are easy to get into that people do that. So, you've got all these years. You've got a degree from Penn State, which, it's what year did you graduate from Penn State?
2004 2003. Excuse me.
Did you have college debt?
Yes, I did.
You did.
Yeah.
So here's the difference from when coming out a decade before you, is that no college debt. And now can you imagine these kids that are going through Penn State, the kind of debt that they've got now?
Yeah, it doesn't matter where you go, it's expensive.
No, and it's crazy. So, we're really, our youngest daughter's going at it the right way. She's doing some online courses, even before she gets out of high school. She's going to hit the junior college scene for a couple of years and then figure out what she wants to do from there. But, a degree, people say a degree is useless these days. I don't agree with that. I don't think you should go into debt, but the foundation that you learn of learning how to take in, you're a business major, learning how to read a profit and loss statement, learning business mathematical skills, learning the basics of bookkeeping.
Sure.
Just all the exposure, at least it's there. So I always tell entrepreneurs, you got to go take classes. Junior colleges are so underrated in this country. There's so many great programs that, Alex, you're going through. You did some junior college. You got a degree, but when you moved to Honolulu, you took more classes, correct? And I think that's so cool because I did the same thing. And I think that, if you're not skilled, everybody looks at the hand skills that you got to get, which is really important. You got to know what you're doing, right? But you got to have the brain skills too. Yeah. So, looking back at your college education, but more so all your time with ShopVac and now with Lake Country, what tidbits of information would you lay out to people?
Yeah, so honestly, my best education, not knocking on my degree, very proud of what I accomplished, and it did great things for me, opening doors. But my greatest experience truly was with ShopVac. Mm-hmm. I had some of the greatest mentors that you could ask for, guys that cared very much about people like me and wanting to see me excel. So they take you under their wing and show you the ropes. And I learned under an old school way of business, which is really set good roots for me on how to operate. And that's just being reliable and being responding to people quickly and efficiently, selling people what they need, not what I want to sell them. There's a difference there. It's really about taking care of people and the customer service. So some really important things that you got to walk the walk to learn it. Mm-hmm. And all those values and things that I learned came with me to Lake Country. And another great family-owned company, they've allowed me to spread my wings and do my thing. Yeah.
Jay's a great guy. Him and Bob are just out here.
Fantastic.
And, like you said, it's just I'm so glad Jay came out here because his focus it's laser. I mean, he knows what he wants the company to be and what he doesn't want it to be.
Right.
And the message to detailers and small business entrepreneurs is you got to have that laser focus. You got to know what you are and what you're not. Who are your customers? You mentioned something I want to circle back on is that, you're always proud of what you sold, and selling people what they need. There's a couple instances I can look back, a few, when I'm honest with myself, that I sold something that people maybe didn't need because I had a need, AKA, my kids needed to eat, rent was due, mortgage was due, car payment was due. I needed gas in the mobile van, whatever it may be in those struggling times. Those still kind of haunt me. I don't like that I did that, I think I've made it up 150 billion times, but don't put yourself in those positions. People are out there. I watch some of these gurus, that are on social media, and you just know that they've done that their entire lives and they're totally okay with it. And personally, I just never have been.
It dismisses the core of what sales is, and sales is about the relationship. So if you're selling somebody something that you want to sell them, not that they need, you're missing on those transactions that happen later.
Yeah, okay? Absolutely.
When we set up a relationship, generally it's for a lifetime or as long as we're doing business together.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take care of you, and the business keeps happening. And it doesn't have to be about that initial sale that's right in front of you.
And it brings up another great point. As part of our whole theory is that so many small business entrepreneurs are constantly looking to refresh their pipeline with brand new customers. We all need brand new customers. But really, the biggest thing that's missed, and we shared it with those numbers that were on the screen yesterday or Monday, is that our repeat customers are so important and keeping in contact with them. They'll keep coming back. They've already done one thing. Is I always say when I moved my business to a trust-based business, it changed my life. Is that what I did is I concentrated on my customers trusting me, that I was selling them the right thing, that they were getting good service, that we had a good working relationship, is that I didn't have the struggle to go out and constantly find brand new customers. They were right there. I just had to continue to share value and show them how to take better care of their car more often. And when I went to that, did you know our average customer was one time a year? When we went to this, we started marketing back to our existing customers and just having good conversations with them, it went to 2.9 times a year. Okay, well, do the math. You don't need a lot of customers for that.
And it costs you a lot less money.
Oh, yeah.
Driving new customers into your shop costs a lot of money, a lot of marketing effort. It's a lot more effort. versus taking care of your core business, taking care of your core customers.
And you know what the average small business owner will say? Oh man, my advertising on social media is minimal. Your time's not. There's the currency you're not counting. And that's the most expensive currency you have. And believe me, it might not seem like it, it's 30 years old. There's the French way of measuring life. Take out a tape measure. Expected lifespan of a male right now in the world is 84 years. Minus off, in your case, Alex, 30 years from that. Watch how that tape measure shrinks so quickly. That's what you've got left if you live to your full potential. When you look at those years as currency and value, it's going to change your perspective on what you do. It really does. Because all of us are young at some point, but there's one common denominator. All of us are going to get old. And so it's what you do with that time in between youth and wisdom that's important. So, okay. So, ShopVac, legendary company. We've seen you at all these shows.
Sure.
Rick, I mean, I was always, I told you yesterday, we probably had 20, all of our mobile units that serviced jet aircraft, all of our corporate jets, all had a ShopVac vacuum in them. Mm-hmm. The reason why is we went with the smaller units that could fit down the aisleways, right? So brand name, but you saw and witnessed some really, the brand went out.
Sure.
And so with that, what's some hints? What's some things that you want to that you learned from that whole experience?
Sure. So some of the struggle there, and I'm not going to dive into details too much, but some of the struggles were economic times. Tariffs happen. You're competing against Chinese competition, so you're playing a price war. So you're trying to keep those costs down with retail partners, and the reality of moving everything around and starting up operations in Vietnam to make sure that the product's at a good price. Mm-hmm. You kind of lose sight of what your true costs are, right? Mm-hmm. So even though you're the largest you've ever been and the most sales going out, it got to a point where it hurt. All the sales were starting to hurt the bottom line because we didn't have our hands wrapped around on what it really costs.
So your margins just weren't there to support it.
And then when you apply that to a detailer, to our detailers, same thing. If you don't know how long it's taking you to do your job, if you don't know how much product it takes, you don't know your margins. Yeah. You're going to drive yourself out of business eventually.
This is a name you may or may not recognize, Bud Abraham. You recognize that name?
Just recognize the name.
Yeah, he Bud was a staple in the industry forever. He's in the Hall of Fame, Detailing Hall of Fame. Bud, I remember I was on forums back in the late 90s. And our forums back then were like taking a chisel and rock out, and carving it out. I mean, it wasn't like it was now. But I remember, even though I'd come out of an environment and I knew, our numbers were so important, Bud just kept on harping on. So I'm giving credit is what I'm doing right now. Yep. Bud kept on harping on. You've got to know just not what your costs are for products, but your costs are for labor for every single item you offer on your menu. And I remember seeing him post that for about a year. And I went, do I really know what service I'm making money off of? So I went back and did exactly what he said. I can still remember to this day in 1999 what a stage one cost us in product, $13. All the way back from right then. Now that cost us, that's no labor. That's just product, pad, all towels, everything else. I'm imagining with inflation, it's probably up right now. I don't think it'd be up that much, but I'm guessing it's probably $16, $17 now. Mm-hmm. But where it was killer, where this really made a difference, paying tribute to Bud Abraham, was that the service that we thought, our most extreme, most expensive service, was not the one that made us the most money. It was a couple down on the menu, something very simplified that we were making a shitload of money off of per hour. Now, what also happened at the same time frame is one of my mentors had challenged me to put $1,000 detail on the menu. This is in 2000. I mean, I hadn't heard, and I thought, you're crazy, dude. And he's like, okay, I'm the multi-millionaire telling you to put $1,000 item on your menu, but you're going to tell me I'm crazy? So we didn't sell one. As a matter of fact, we had a bet. I said, we're not going to sell one. And he goes, well, you got to promise to try. And if you don't, can't remember what the wager was. It was either he'd give me $1,000, he'd give me $5,000, something like that. And so we were right towards the end. We're like 28 days out. We hadn't sold one. And I'm like, man, I'm getting free money. And my guy called me up and he goes, we just sold one of these $1,000 details. I was like, shit, But here's what it did is that, I say that I was really happy. I was surprised. We started selling them quite often, like once a week. Now that one, the margins were insane on. But what we had to do is our level of service and the experience. If you go to all the theme parks, are you a theme park guy?
I am not a theme park
guy.
guy.
No, you're not?
No.
Oh, my God. Anybody here a theme park guy? Yeah, but I love, going to, Magic Mountain and going to Knott's Berry Farm and going to Disneyland. I'll tell you, still to this day, nobody does the experience like Disneyland does. It's just not there. Disneyland, the whole thing is just, and it's clean. They work really hard on keeping it clean. And then second from that is Universal Studios in Florida. The experience is pretty insane. Place. So if you think about this, is that higher end ticket, what had to increase that didn't on our lower end was the experience. We couldn't do the same delivery. Our shop couldn't look the same way. Everything had to change.
Had to raise your value.
We had to raise it. We had to raise our appearance, our values, our perceived value had to be there. And so we were kind of lucky because it happened. But now looking back is that we didn't go far enough with that experience. So when you talk about not knowing their numbers, was that really what happened? Was that really what kind of took it, down?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when the bank calls the debt due and you can't pay it, you gotta figure things out, and that's a tough call.
Yeah. So another question, Lee, and this will lead into the next one, is that you've been around. It's I talk about with Double Black and PNS, our culture being so important to us. Bob, Dave, and I, when it was just the three of us, the culture was pretty easy. It wasn't complicated at all because we all knew what that culture had to be, and it just came natural for us because it was the culture that we live by. And as we've added team members and distributors, and our numbers gotten bigger, it's something I'm really concerned with. Mm-hmm. So looking at it from an employee standpoint, is that we've all had great bosses. We've all had, not so great bosses. We've had great environments. And how is the Lake Country environment, now that I've really seen Jay up close and personal as I did last month, what's the environment change been like?
Yeah, so let's first, we have to understand where I came from. So we'll talk about Shopback first. And I had some great mentors, great leadership that were a bit more hands-on, right? Mm-hmm. They're definitely involved in the business. They're involved in the day-to-day. They got their head not just in the numbers, but into what's happening with the relationships. With Lake Country, and I was one of the youngest guys at Shopback. Mm-hmm. So coming over to Lake Country, I'm one of the old guys.
Right.
Which is a big shift.
It happens, pal.
Yeah.
It happens. Yeah. It happens.
And Jay really surrounds himself with great people. And I work with so many talented people. He can kind of go hands off a bit and let people just do what they do. And he has that trust level. So that there's a bit of a difference there. Not that I was heavily watched at Shopback. We were trusted to run our business. But there is a difference there. Being a younger company that's growing, Jay gives us the tools. There's a lot more technology involved in the business from a day-to-day aspect versus that old school mentality that we had at Shopback. We were really an old school manufacturer. We believed if you put a great product on the shelf, that it would sell. Jay is clear. He understands you got to you have to do everything right. You got to market. You got to brand. You have to block and tackle everywhere. 360. You got it.
360.
So there's my differences.
So, and the lesson learned is that, again, we live for those people, small businesses. The youth of today that are now our work pool, they're used to technology. They're used to. So if you go back to pen and paper, you're going to lose them right then and there. Not only that, but the faith they're going to have in you is going to be demised. It's, if you're still on dial-up, there's a problem with that, so to say.
And of course, there's good and bad in the technology. And when we speak to younger people, quick to an email, quick to a text message, sometimes you can't beat in person or a phone call.
Yeah, no.
You know, you got to have that relationship.
I'm still, when it comes down to it, we had a very, yesterday we had a very busy day, and I had to get some input, from our advisory board. And so I ended up having 4 phone calls with 2 guys over about a 1-hour period to help us settle some things in the group. Good things. We got election, we got a new lead advisor coming in, all these good things. But my point is, I didn't text on that. I picked up the phone because I wanted to make sure that they heard my tempo, and then I got their feedback in the correct manner. You don't get that with a text or an email.
Yeah, it's on our end in manufacturing sometimes, and you're selling to distributors. You can hide behind that keyboard.
You can.
You can hide an email if you're delivering bad news or you made a mistake. You can certainly try to hide behind. Again, I'll go back to my old school roots and the things I was taught at ShopVac. Buddy, if I did something wrong, you're getting an in-person or phone call apology.
Absolutely.
And we're going to talk about how we're going to resolve it.
Yeah. And the same thing with when somebody does something good.
Yeah.
Yep. It doesn't hurt everyone wants to tell them live. We had our annual meeting last week, and Prentice St. Clair came on. And the thing I took away from, if you guys don't know who Prentice is, he's been around the industry forever. He's a great guy. But the thing that Prentice, out of all of our presentations, including mine, that came flowing through the Zoom meeting was pure appreciation for the opportunities he had. And I stopped after he was done, and I said, I got to tell you, man, that appreciation level, didn't I, Chris? Chris will verify it.
Oh, yeah.
Is that he was so, I got that more out of him. I learned something from it, because every part at the beginning, one of my mentors taught me a bad news sandwich. So when you have something you got to get across, it's either bad news or maybe it's going to increase the workload on your team, is you give it to them and a good news, the bread's the good news on each end. So you come in, hey guys, I really appreciate what you guys do. Hey, we got some work to do. And then again, man, you guys have no idea, your hard work, how much I appreciate your hard work. That's a bad news sandwich or a challenge sandwich. And Prentice nailed it to a T. And so, I called him out live instead of waiting and sending it, text or something like that. So you got to do that. So, I got a note here that a lot of times, especially right now, people are not going to leave. They don't leave jobs just to leave a job. They have better opportunity. Many times when people leave, it's a bad culture or a bad boss, that the person's just not a good boss. Mm-hmm. And so you got to look at those things. There's other circumstances. You might go live your dream and go to work for Miller, something like that, right? That's the name of the company down there. There's other things, but many times when somebody leaves an organization, it's because there's a reason. And most times it's the culture. The culture's just sucked.
Yeah, and in these times where it's so hard to hire people, you better have a good culture.
Yeah.
And don't be something you're not. You got to stick to who you are.
So what advice you're coming out of with ShopVac and having so many industries that you had eyes on, mm-hmm. and the big box stores, mm-hmm. and a whole different vision than from the detailing industries is again one of the reasons why you're here. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give out to the entrepreneurs out there?
So comparable industry that I got to call on, and to keep in perspective, automotive for me was a smaller piece of the pie. So I couldn't dedicate as much time as the industry deserved. I spent a lot of time in the hardware industry, and there's these mom and pop hardware shops or hardware stores, co-ops, mm-hmm. And a lot of these are multi-generational, 5, 6, 7 generations of family running these businesses. It's getting into a point where the younger generation don't want to take these stores over. So these nice legacy stores in these neighborhoods that really hold up the community are disappearing. So bring that over to the automotive side and our detailers. Build yourself a strong business. Build yourself something that's going to survive. Everybody's focused on their skills and doing a great job detailing the car. Do a great job for yourself and put building blocks together of a strong business plan, a strong foundation. Geek out in your numbers if you're going to put some time and effort into something.
Well, and geeking out in your numbers is so important because everybody, exit strategy. Are you going to pass that? Is it going to be a legacy business? Is it going to be a business you sell? So many people is that when I'll talk to them in all kinds of industries, is I'll talk to them and I'll say, hey, so what's your long-term plan? What are you guys going to do? Oh, well, probably when we're done, we'll just shut it down. I'm like, oh my God, that's the worst answer in the world. You've built this thing up, but a lot of times there's not enough foundation stuff. People aren't tracking their numbers. They don't have software. They're not putting it in. They're taking it, they're selling it cash. That's not traceable. That can end up hurting you more than it helps you in the long run, because you can't qualify for things. You can't show that you've got the numbers coming through your company. And if you go to sell it, it's definitely not going to have the value, because I have two sets of books. Listen, when I go to buy a business, and I've done it many times, there's one set of books I look at, and it's not your hypothetical books. It's the books, it's the books. So now, looking down into your crystal ball is what's coming industry-wise. Now, I don't want you to tell any trade secrets with Lake Country, but what do you see that's coming down?
Well, again, coming from a power tool background, in the hardware industry, huge shift in cordless technology. And if you're not seeing it, what rock are you hiding under, right?
Right.
The cordless batteries have really knocked the pneumatics on their head. That's dwindled down to about nothing. These impact guns are amazing. What do you need a cordless or a pneumatic impact gun anymore?
Right.
When you grab the battery pack, and it's going to be widespread to all the tools. Consumers are asking for it. Retailers are demanding it. Manufacturers are quickly getting on board, and the battery technology is getting better and better. Look at where it's going with cars and everything in life. So I think we're going to continue to see those trends trickle into every industry. So all this equipment that we use as detailers, whether it's a vacuum or an extractor or steamers, or people are going to be taking a look at cordless. You have to. You
guys are going to be running tomorrow and on Friday on battery pack generators. We're going to run you. We're going to put 3 polishers onto one of them, and you're going to see you can run all day long. 3 polishers going all day at full speed, and you'll have juice left over. I mean, it's pretty. And we do that because there's certain to teach you guys. It's if you are mobile, or even if you have neighbors near your shop, that you got to be quiet. You got to be good neighbors when you're out mobile. But more so, where we use these battery, it is with when there's a power outage. Our shop doesn't shut down. We can run the lights, our portable lights, and we can run our polishers as we go. We can run everything. We can even get a steamer going. We just can't run it for very long. Now, you have a second set of batteries, you're good to go. You're going to be able to run that longer. So basically, we're bringing everything. You're not going to be able to run a extractor off of it, but everything else you'll be able to run. Yeah. And so I echo that. I think that you're going to see a strong development, even possibly, again, Lake Country, who knows what you guys. So you guys, for that don't know it and live under a rock, is you came out with, a new tool.
Yep.
And variable select tool, that will have all the different settings. That is, I think, probably exciting for me because it's going to change things up.
Very cool invention from Scott McLean, who we spoke about earlier. Man's brilliant, and had this idea and sold it to Jay. Took him a bit, but Jay came around and went, yeah, we have something. And having those 5 orbits in one machine, a lot of challenges there to get it right. We've had it in the marketplace for a while and had it in people's hands. We've learned a lot from it. So, you got to listen to the folks that are using it. So if you're developing new tools, we'll see what happens here. So,
there you go. Yeah. Well, I'm excited. I have a little insight of what's coming down.
Yep.
And so it's going to be fun.
Yeah. The thing with Lake Country is we're founded on innovations. We have 70 worldwide patents, and we just want to make life easier for detailers. So we always have something in the pipeline.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So hey, let's pay some bills real quick.
Real fast. I was going to pull this up because you were talking about it. I actually implemented the Ego. I can't remember what it's called, but Power Center in a job I did last week. So it worked well. It was so nice not to have to plug into anywhere and and run the generator or anything like that.
No, there's no noise. There's no noise. So it's silent. You guys will be running off that today. And that technology is just going to keep growing. Now, the nice thing is about this system is that we've taken an Ego. If you haven't used any of the Ego tools, the first thing I bought from them was this. So we take it in the overland rig. I've taken it on base for my drill weekends. We're out in the field. I'm a huge hero on those weekends because I'm the only one with power, and so I can get a lot of the enlisted to come up and do favors, aka food or carry shit, because I can charge their cell phones, I can charge stuff, and we've got lights and everything else. But now I got their weed eater. We went into their blower for cars. Tony was telling us about Etsy. He's got a stub nose.
Rack for batteries, that you can slide batteries on the wall.
It's pretty cool. So battery racks, all kinds of stuff. So he's going to send me that out. We'll put a link up. But we've got their full line of battery pack tools, and then all the batteries are interchangeable. And so it's really cool because once you start getting that, we even got their chainsaw now. And so, it's really cool because you can take, and the blower's strong enough if you get a light dusting of snow, if you're in snow country, I just go blow the patio off. I mean, it's strong enough to do that. And so I'm a huge fan of it, and I think it's going to go a lot of places. So, okay, let's pay the bills, and we're going to give some takeaways. We'll just have a little takeaway conversation. So we want to thank Lake Country Manufacturing for sponsoring today's show. You can see Detailed Image. We want to reach out to them, thank them. They're a huge champion of ours in the industry. We want to thank Double Black, Team P&S, for coming in, always making this possible. So with that, let's wrap it up, some takeaways. So the thing is, treat your business. It doesn't matter how big or small you are. Treat it the same, because you can see a big business fail, and believe me, those big businesses have got a lot more access to tools than a small business. So if you see a big business struggling, that should put the hair on the back of your neck up. Inflation's a real thing. If you haven't raised your prices during these crazy times, you probably need to take and reevaluate that, especially if you're mobile. With fuel prices what they are, everything's up, insurance is up. Good luck finding a set of tires, right now. And if you do, the price is 25, 30% greater just because of the shortage. So everything's there. So you got to watch your numbers.
Yeah, price of your consumables are going up.
Absolutely
everything.
Cost of living, everything. Milk, the price of silicone in some of these products has skyrocketed. So I was talking to a large manufacturer just yesterday, and they're having another price increase. And you hate to see that happen, but some of the dressings we have got these silicones in them that are pretty hard to get right now. So everybody's feeling it. Number two from there is that you've got to stand out. You've got to have not just the capabilities with your hands, you got to have the capabilities of your mind to run a business successfully and to run it long term. Don't have short-sighted vision. You got to have long-term vision. And so you've got to be able to sense when your company's getting in a little rough area to either back off on the spinning or go get a side hustle. I mean, just don't be too proud. Survive it.
And know your local market. Just don't do this stuff just because you hear that's what everybody else is doing. You have to know your local market and where you stand.
Amen.
Okay?
Amen.
And that's where your brand and everything's so important.
We see people, that will compare themselves as, Tony, you're in a mecca for, the automobile. You can go down through Scottsdale. Anything you want to see brand wise, you can see it. Not every market's like that. You go into your market, you're not going to see the same. New Hampshire, you're not going to see the same. And so don't compare yourself to people online. Is go out and run your own battle. You're on an island, Alex. So you've got to you got to figure out the tempo and what people are looking for and then deliver it and figure out a way to make a buck out of it.
Yeah, when you're trying to follow everybody else, you're trying to follow somebody else's lead, sometimes you become somebody that you're not. And when you're not genuine, people see right through it.
Amen, man. That's a great point. I love to take I learn something from every single one of you that I come in contact with. I'll take things away from this week that I implement into the next training. So I love to take and look at things and how people do things, how they present. It might be as simple as how they dress or something that they say or their stance or they've got this great idea for presentation. It might be something that simple, but you can borrow things for other people, but make sure to make it your own. Always make it your own. Don't compare it to that. So, well, hey, it was awesome having you.
Pleasure.
So we can go back to ragging on each other as soon as we're off the camera. But it was pretty cool. We're going to get these guys busy. That was perfect. So, hey, do us a favor. Let's reach around and no, that's a bad term to use. Reach around is not the way to go. Let's come back on this. And yeah, right. So let's go. Hey, if you've enjoyed this show, make sure to share it. We love the last several episodes. People coming out and reaching around. People coming back and telling us what they thought. If we've said something that meant meaning to you, we love to hear that. We really do. Our goal is simple. We want to impact one person that's listening right now. I know that's a small goal, but it's that's our theory. Is we're all small business owners, and we want to take in and give you good solid impact. Make sure to stomp on the like button, subscribe button, and please, man, we love for people to share this program because other people need it. Don't think selfishly. Don't be an asshole. Help other people grow too. So if we said something that made sense to you, put it out there for us. We love the show to grow. Hey, Chris, thanks a lot. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yep, I'll be up there.
Good weather, almost 60 degrees today. So we're going to go out and do our wet work today and have that done. So
I'm probably going to drive up in the Mini Cooper tomorrow. I already had it out this morning, stretch its legs a little bit. So
there you go. There you go. Well, I could take it for a drive for you if you want me to.
Yeah, well, I saw what happened to the last car you took for a drive.
Hey, that was it wasn't my fault the engine blew. I had nothing to do with that. Hey guys, you guys all take care of yourself. Happy detailing all. We'll see you next time.
All right, see you guys.